So this is the chicken's food, and that white stuff right there is just what I mix in. It's like it's calcium powder, and so I mix that in for the layers because they need it to produce good eggshells. They get egg bound if you don't add, in my opinion, if you don't add calcium to the layer food. This is layer food. It's supposed to have what it needs. But if you don't add calcium, it's just they get problems. They get egg bound and all sorts of things. And then they got a wee little nice antioxidant treat here of canned, because it's winter, canned blackberries. So we're gonna just in moderation give them little antioxidants and a nice, healthy treat, and their regular food. So here's our wee little bays that are left. Unfortunately, because, like I was saying, the incubator stopped counting the days properly. By the time I noticed, I had no idea what day it was. I'm dumb and didn't write the date down, and trusted the incubator stupidly to do it for me, and I never do that. Well, the humidity was off for a long time because of that. And I think that's why we're having so many problems. We only had about, I'd say 60% hatch out that were strong and made it. And then out of the 4 that were strong, for whatever reason, one of the first ones that hatched out, for whatever reason, I believe anyway, actually, you know what? I'm looking at them now. I'm not entirely sure. But I think it was one of the first ones I hatched out. And regardless, they were all strong, So something was wrong because that one perished. It's something else with this hatch, was really wrong. That makes me think that the humidity really did have a lasting impact on their development, because by all means that one should have, with a normal incubation, that one should have survived. So that tells me that there's something really off about the incubation. Now, is it only that just for a couple of days the humidity was low? Is that the only reason, or is there something far worse happening? If the incubator stops counting down days, is it also refusing to calculate temperature properly or anything like that? Well, I had a thermometer in there. That didn't seem to be the case, to back up the temperature. So it could just, all it could be is humidity. I don't know. It was turning the eggs, I don't know. But we're going to try this again. We're going to collect some more eggs and we're going to try this again, because I was hoping for like 8 at least, and we got 3. They're a few days old now, only about a few days old. The ones we have left seem to be fine, so hopefully we won't have any issues further, and they'll be all right. About a week and a half since I've seen any fledglings hanging out, just sitting right at the bottom there, hanging out, or crashing it, flat out just crashing into this thing. I don't see. They used to just sit here, just sit for hours and just on the ground, and that's how I knew they were fledglings, because that's just so dumb. Only a fledgling's that dumb. They weren't afraid of people. They were taking at least 1 chicken a day. One managed to snag an unsuspecting quail that was resting up against there, like I said, and get its talons through it right out the fence. So I did an experiment, and I put the chickens in for really pretty much the entire day. They had food, they had water and everything they needed. I had let them out temporarily at around dusk for about 20 minutes, just for them to stretch their legs. About around the time that the buzzards go to sleep. That's when I was letting them out. And you always have stuff around. You always got, all different kinds of things. Buzzards, owls, kestrels, whatever. You always got something, right? Falcons, even sometimes eagles. But they have resourced all the wildlife, eating all the wildlife as well, and only when immensely desperate do they turn to something like the chickens because they're afraid of humans. Well, what the fledglings were doing, they didn't know how to hunt anything really, and what they were doing is they were relying 100% on our extremely slow chickens. If I can catch a chicken, that is not learning how to hunt, okay? They need to know how to catch those flitty little songbirds. They need to know how to catch the squirrels that are spiraling up a tree. They need to learn how to catch things that, you know, are much faster and much swifter to truly say that they learn how to hunt. So not only 30% do, the rest die because they just never learn. So you close the doors for like a week to 2 weeks to the coop. And I'm telling you right now, from experience, the term coops up is exceptionally accurate. That is exactly how they act. I mean, they're losing their brains. And that is why I let them out at the end of every day, because they were just losing their brains. But basically, yeah, you know, they don't drink water actually. They get all the water from their, and a lot of birds of prey are actually like this, I'm finding out. They actually get all the water from their food. And so they'll die pretty quickly. If they don't learn how to hunt, they'll just die. So what I did was, you know, either you're going to be really, really hungry and you're going to get really desperate and you're finally going to leave this place and go somewhere else to hunt, or you're going to never learn how to hunt and you're going to die of dehydration and starvation within a week, or maybe two. Honestly, I think, you know, because they survive off of not just food but water with what they hunt, they're 100% reliant on what they hunt for the water source. Honestly, I think that that it's more towards the end of a week and a half than it is 2 weeks that they would just perish. And also because the Cooper's hawk, which is type of buzzard, they especially have immense high metabolism. Well, I think I read somewhere 20% every single day of, that's ridiculous, of their own weight that they have to eat every single day to maintain. So, you know, high metabolism plus reliant on water source in their prey means that they just cannot simply survive very long without it. So I did hear a few Cooper's hawks in the area. I think just at least one. So hopefully one of those 2 or 3, I don't know exactly how many, maybe with over 4, one of those fledglings might have survived if it was one of the fledglings. So it's now have a fear of people. So I think it must have, you know, had a few interactions with my neighbours or something, because if it's one of those, you can come out here, chase it away, and it doesn't come back 2 minutes later. It comes back 2 hours later, maybe. And it doesn't ever, you know, ground itself. It doesn't ever, I mean, it's sitting high up in the trees most of the time. So it's not even sitting on fence posts. It's sitting usually high up in the trees. So I honestly do think that whatever was here that was causing a problem either is now too scared to come down or is gone completely. So I would say it worked as good as I could possibly hope it to work. And anytime I have this problem in the future, I'll know that would be what to do. But you have to wait at least a week, because if you don't wait long enough, they'll come right back, and then you have to start the process all over again. So the chickens are very happy to be out now, and I'd say they're actually pretty ecstatic. We've had a few half days where they're out for just a few half days, because I wanted to really watch the first few times. And this is the first full day that they've been out, not just half a day, but a full day. So they're really enjoying themselves. Way back in the back there, you see Thunder, our pigeon popping her head up, and the grey pigeon, owl pigeon in the back there, really far away from us. Hopefully I'll get a better angle of the quail and everybody in a minute, but quail actually don't need nearly as much calcium because they only lay during spring and summer, maybe a little bit of fall, and so you know, you actually don't have to add calcium unless you're not feeding them layer in the spring and summer months. But just regular layer feed, especially quail layer feed designed specifically for quail, is what we give them in the spring and summer. That's got plenty of calcium on its own, and you know, you don't need to usually add anything for the quail, especially, you know, if you give them layer plus calcium, sometimes it's too much calcium and it causes its own problems with the quails. So it's just all about knowing, you know, which species need what. So in winter time we feed them just a regular seed, quail and dove seed feed. It's, you know, specifically fortified for quail and for doves, which works really good with what we got here, because we got Thunder the owl pigeon, and we got the quail, and also our wee little finches, Finn and Piper, can eat that food as well, so it works really well for that. In the spring and summer, Finn and Piper still need some regular birdie seed, so we'll give them seeds where the quail cannot reach. We'll put some seeds up on top there, we'll put some seeds over there, and it doesn't hurt that the pigeon gets some. So probably actually good for the pigeon to get some of that instead of layer feed in the spring and summer. So if we've got a choice for them, they put their food up high in the spring and summer so that, you know, the quail don't eat their food and they don't feel like they have to eat the quail's food. But they can, I guess, if they really want to. It's not going to really hurt them or anything. You know, they also lay eggs in spring and summer, so, you know, a little bit extra calcium, it's not going to hurt them. So everybody just kind of, you know, for right now is still pretty chillax, but eventually we're going to have the spring hormones, and there's a bunch of roosters, new roosters that we've never tested before. You know, you notice that roosters are really nice and friendly until spring rolls around, and then they can turn really, really mean. So we've had many of our roosters already through one season, and they've proven themselves to be nice and not a problem. But anybody who hasn't been through a breeding season yet, we need to test their personality after they, you know, get all those raging hormones in them. So that's going to be something that we really need to watch for, because if they start fighting, you know, they can really, really injure one another, and we don't want that. So we're going to need to watch our new roosters. We heard just a few crowing every once in a while, but not enough to really tell me that they've got true spring hormones yet. It's only February, so, you know, that's, you know, it's not expected, at least for another month, to really be able to, maybe two, but at least for another month, to really be able to tell, okay, who's going to do what. You know, we've got a lot of you know, new quail in here. I'd say 2/3 of them, maybe even 3/4 of them, are new and have never been through a breeding season. They were birthed back last fall, late last fall. So we've got a lot of quail to test, definitely. So chickens have their morning feed, and they want to explore, and most of them, to be honest, most of them went out so fast I couldn't get them before they went out. But and then they just kind of play in the 10 acres that we have. Usually they only play in about 3 to 4 of them, but they utilize the woods and everything as cover for predators and stuff. So, and right there you see that black and white rooster right there. That's the dad of those. He's a speckled Sussex EE cross that was born here. So yeah,